Osio, everyone. That is hello in Cherokee. Cherokee Indian is my native ancestry. So I'm very excited to dive into this episode all about the Indigenous people. Welcome to Behind the Layers. I'm Kara Christensen, your host, professional fitness, wellness, nutritionist, and beauty guru. I am here to share all my knowledge to help you living your best life from the inside out. And here I am dressed in all my garb. This is from the Cherokee Nation. These are carved of bones. These are traditional chokers. They didn't have the hair bands back then. So what they did was create little leather bands. I don't know if you can see. And it's got little hooks on the side. So you just hook them around and then tighten it straight up. And then these are all made from animal bone, shell parts. It's very wild. The furs that they make, that they caught, these are all tails of the animals that they caught. As you can see, it's a nice big fur. This is what they do. They use every part of the animal to either use it for a tool, for eating. They eat the animal themselves. They use the claws. They literally use and recycle they give honor to every part of the animal. You got traditional leathers with the fringe. So this is a traditional Indian. Well, they like to say what tribe they're from. Cherokee Indian is the tribe that I'm from, Eastern Band. So I know there's a lot of different tribes out there. I've actually met a few that are also Indian that have their own tribes too. So it's been really cool to meet people that are also of Indian blood. So today is going to be really exciting for me because this is paying an homage to my ancestry and also learning about other cultures. I think is so important for us to do. America is a beautiful country and we have so much to be grateful for here. But there are other beautiful countries, and we're going to start the series off with my other beautiful cultures and countries. And we're going to start this series off with my people, the Indigenous people, the Cherokee Indians, and all the tribes. There's so many different tribes. You got the Lakota, you got the Oso. There's so many tribes, and it goes from Tennessee, Georgia, North Carolina, all Oklahoma, all the way spanning to the West Coast and even up into Canada. They have a big thing every year on my birthday, July 4th, and it's in the Smoky Mountains here in North Carolina, and it is a big July 4th Independence Day powwow, and they have Indians from all over, all the different tribes from all over, just coming together to show their ritual dances, their greeting dances, their welcome dance, just their different traditions. So it's very fun. It's super interesting. You get to try traditional foods from all different regions and all different tribes. So it's really exciting, and that happens every 4th of July in the Smoky Mountains. And it is so beautiful up there, you guys. It is such a gorgeous place to visit, even if you're just visiting and you're not going to the powwow. But I did get the fur that I have, the rabbit fur I have here at the powwow, and so they are made. These, like the necklace I have right here, this one I got, a friend gave me this one, was also bought from an indigenous person that makes the necklaces. Traditional choker necklaces made of bone, some of them made of teeth from the animals that they've killed. So they do not kill for sport. They kill to eat and survive. And they use all of the materials from every animal to either make a way of life by crafting things, or they use it to wear, like I'm doing here, to wear and to keep warm. They make blankets. They make, they show honor. It's all to show honor to the animal that gave and sacrificed themselves for them to be able to live. So it's not without notice. They don't just rampage through and, just killing animals just for the fun or the sport of it. So I really do appreciate the value of the Indigenous people showing homage and giving honor to the animals that have sacrificed for their well-being. So I think that's a really beautiful part about who they are and their traditions. So I'm very excited to get this started with you guys. I really hope that you are along for the ride, even if you can't watch. Even if you're just listening to this podcast in the background, I really am excited to have you here. Please, if there are anybody that you know that is looking for a little motivation and they need a little guidance, a little step-by-step guidance and a place to come to where they can be fully supported, please do send them here at Kara Chris TV on YouTube. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, X, Twitch, Threads, all the ones, Snapchat, TikTok. It's all at Kara Chris TV. If you go to X, I do now have a podcast page, and that is Behind the Layers with a Z. So that is that's up now, and that's on X, and I do stream from there also. So without further ado, we will dive into what we got going on here with our topic for today. And this is about the food that they eat, which sounds absolutely delicious. And I think that you guys might quite agree with me on that. So let's dive on into that. Welcome to those of you that are just joining. Let me go ahead and hit play.
This nutritious stew combines the Three Sisters crops: corn, beans, and squash. It provides a well-rounded, protein-rich meal and is especially popular among Native cultures in North America. Corn is one of the staple foods in Native American cuisine. They use corn to make various dishes such as cornbread. Bison is a crucial food source for many Native American tribes in the North American plains. Bison meat is used in various dishes, such as roasting, stewing, or drying into jerky. It is a rich source of protein and nutrients. Fry bread is a type of fried bread that originated from the blending of cultures as Native Americans adapted to the ingredients provided by the U.S. government during forced relocation. It is made from flour, water, and fat, fried, and often served with honey, sugar, or meat.
5 fascinating facts about Native.
Yummy. Now, who wouldn't eat some of that, right? I mean, bison is actually super lean and very, very nutritious. And I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to try bison, but it is very good. And the corn, it's interesting when they're talking about the relocation because, most of them were kicked off their land and sent to the Trail of Tears. I don't know how much history you know about the Indigenous people, but my grandfather is 100% full blood and live on a reservation, and my great grandfather and grandmother were both 100% full blood. So yes, it runs deep into my blood, but I definitely related the most when I learned about the Cherokee Indian women and how much of an important role they were allowed to be given and that they took stake in. So you would have Cherokee Indian women chiefs. They would be in control and a lot of the decision-making situations that they had on their tribe or on the reservation. They were the lead of their household. So many strong Cherokee Indian women. So when I was learning about it, I was like, okay, this makes sense. This makes sense why I am the way I am. It's my ancestry. It runs deep in my veins. So you'll see what I'm talking about with this part, which is called 5 Fascinating Facts About Native American Women. Now, it's interesting if you do any kind of deep dive on the Indigenous community, most people like to be called by their tribe. People are very tribe strong. So Indians in that in that retrospect, they don't want to be called Native Americans because they think when you're saying a Native American, you're talking about just Americans, you're disregarding their tribe. So if they're in whatever their tribe is, they're going to be wanting to be dressed in that way. So if you ever deep dive, there's a guy on here that I also love. He's not right here on my he's not on the videos we're going to show today, but he is in my podcast info vids, and he's gone around to all the different tribes to see exactly what the difference is, how they're living, what their traditions are very different. So I think I might touch on that a little bit before I move on to another culture, maybe today and tomorrow. I like to keep Fridays fun, fitness Fridays, because bringing it back home. But on next week, I do want to start back up with this and kind of studying other cultures, how they eat, what they use for medicine, how they, live for longevity. Because I think it is very important how we understand other people, other cultures, and maybe there's something ancient that we can discover that we can do here right in our own home that will help us to live a long, beautiful, healthy life. Because that's what we're all about, right? Healthy life, best life you can live from the inside out. And that's from natural, holistic remedies that we can do at home. That is what the beauty of this channel and the beauty of this podcast is, trying to uncover how we can be the best versions of ourselves in our human form and not and not go down the Western medicine dive of prescription drugs and all the things that are damaging us from the inside. So let's move on to my favorite part, which is 5 fascinating facts about Native American women. But in this case, Indigenous women is how we're going to say that. Here we go.
5 fascinating facts about Native American women you probably didn't know. Number 5. Native American women held significant political influence in many tribes. They often participated in decision-making councils and even held leadership positions. Number 4. Native American women were renowned artists, excelling in pottery, basketry, beadwork, and textile arts, contributing richly to their culture's creative legacies. Number 3. Several tribes, like the Hopi and Cherokee, were matrilineal and matrilocal, granting women a central role in family and community life. Number 2. Native American women played vital roles in preserving their languages, passing them down through generations despite colonization's challenges. Number 1. While often overlooked, many Native American women were skilled warriors and hunters, defending their tribes and contributing to survival.
That's what I'm talking about.
North American Indians refers to...
I mean, I can attest that I feel I can resonate with most of everything said right there. From the skill set to the strong will to the warrior spirit to all of that runs deep through my Cherokee Indian blood. And I definitely can feel the power of my female ancestors that have gone through so much to fight to be where we are. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for them. So I definitely always want to pay homage and give respect to them because they went through a lot. Sadly, I think a lot of people went through a lot back then, but it really is sad what happened and the few numbers that are in existence. But I did a little deep dive on because I'm trying to get my card to carry, which is you have to show your bloodline and you have to show how much percentage of Indian you have in your blood, with my grandfather being 100% Cherokee and my great grandmother and great grandfather being also 100% living on the reservation in Cherokee. They definitely, they stopped doing the cards for a little bit. They were having some kind of issues with the government. This is maybe like 5-7 years ago. So I've forgotten about it, but I really want to get my card so I can be a part of the community there and being a part of, you get to be when you're a card carrier, you get to hunt fish on the land there. You get residuals. Your children get residuals that come back from the casino that help them take care of college and getting them set up in their married life. So they really do take care of their people in the Cherokee Indian reservation. But there's so many different other uh, tribes out there. Not all tribes are created equally. So I was deep diving with this guy who has started this series. He went out to all the different tribes and had a visit with them and did like a 45-minute to an hour long episode on his YouTube channel, where he's just going around and talking, seeing the land, seeing how they live, what are their issues, how do they survive there, what's the law in their land. A lot of it is in Arizona, Oklahoma, even Canada, the parts of California. Where my ancestors are from Tennessee, and then into North Carolina. So I live in North Carolina now, so I can really feel the power and the deep roots of my ancestry, which is I feel grounded when I'm around the area. But when I go up to Cherokee on my birthday, July 4th, Independence Day, they have a big 4th of July powwow that is so incredible. You guys have to look it up. It's the Smoky Mountains 4th of July powwow. And you just get to see there's so many tribes from all over the country up into Canada that come over. And they even have a large community in Europe, which I felt was very interesting. But the tribes come, they do their ritual dances. Everybody's got their own dance, their own style, their own garb. They got, their own traditions. And everyone is so tribal proud. So it's definitely fun and very interesting to see all the different tribes. And here they have like a welcome dance, and they have like welcome songs. They all have their different sounds with the drums and how they yell out, and it's really cool. It's really cool to see. If you are in the North Carolina area, you should definitely check out a powwow in the Smoky Mountains. It's beautiful. It's got gorgeous scenery. This is a part of North Carolina where the land had been stolen from them, and an American went and bought up, I think it's 56,000 acres or something like that. 56,000, 54, somewhere in that range, between 54 and 57,000 acres. And then gave the land back over to the Cherokee Indian tribe. So they have this like little reservation cut out of where they call it the boundary. The boundary is where their land starts, and you can really tell a difference. That the schools they build, the hospitals they build, they keep everything up really well. They take care of their people. Everybody gets a stipend if you're a card carrier. Everybody gets a stipend. To be a card carrier, you have to prove that you have at least a 16th of Cherokee Indian blood that runs through your veins. So, which is something that I'm trying to do right now, is get my card. Having so many full bloods in my immediate ancestry is, I don't see why I wouldn't get it. So, and I don't know, since I don't live in Cherokee, how the stipend works, but I do live in North Carolina. But I do know that when I was in college, the Cherokee Indian tribe was if I would have gone to school, I got partial payment for my college when I was in college. But if I would have gone to school for engineering, they cover your cost 100%. So now now that they have a casino, they didn't have that when I was in college. Now they have this big, beautiful casino on the land within the boundary. And that is what they supply the school and the housing. And I mean, they have housing for people. They've got for their people there. They've got the hospitals. They've got so many services that are free. And then they also give a stipend to everyone that is eastbound. You have to be the eastbound Cherokee. And so they take care of their people, man. But when you look at other tribes, it's really sad how, they don't have a same setup. So I'm really hoping that to see the Indian way, to see the Cherokee Indian way of our people and how they handled it. They started that, and then they opened up a Buc-ee's. I don't know if anybody knows what a Buc-ee's is, but a Buc-ee's is like a giant, I don't know, like a freaking catch-all for a gas station. I think they have like 120 pumps. They got there's like an ice cream parlor inside. They got it's a whole ordeal. They got food. It's a big deal. But they opened up one of those, and they have a couple other places like that all fund and go back. All the funding goes back into the Cherokee Indian Tribal Fund, which is what pays out the stipend for colleges, for housing, and for when you turn 18, and then you turn 18, 21, and then 25, you get a part of that stipend that is already in your name as a Cherokee Indian. So it's really, really cool. And I know that, not all of the tribes do it, but I really do hope that there is more shine out there for the Cherokee Indian tribe, which is my blood, and maybe they can learn from it. Maybe learn a little something. But I will play some clips of the guy who is doing this whole. He's got like millions and millions of followers and people that are watching this Indigenous train that he's on right now, showing all the different like Lakota and Oso and Cherokee and all the different tribes. He's traveling around and giving them a little spotlight. So I really do hope that people see the Cherokee and they maybe take a few notes, because I think it's beautiful that they're able to do the things that they do for their tribe. So let's dive in. Coming to what is this one? Oh, culture, traditions, and spiritual beliefs.
To the indigenous people of North America, who have inhabited the continent for thousands of years. They are also commonly referred to as Native Americans, American Indians, or First Nations people. North American Indians are incredibly diverse and consist of hundreds of distinct tribes, each with their own language, customs, and traditions. Their culture has been shaped by their environment, which ranges from the Arctic tundra to the deserts of the Southwest, as well as by their interactions with European colonizers and later, with other non-native groups. Before the arrival of Europeans in the late 15th century, North American Indians lived in a wide variety of societies, ranging from nomadic hunter-gatherer groups to large agricultural communities. They had complex systems of government, religious beliefs, and social structures. North American Indian traditional beliefs vary widely depending on the tribe and region, but there are some common themes that can be found throughout Native American spirituality. Many tribes believe in ancestral spirits, or the idea that their ancestors continue to play a role in their lives after death. Ancestral spirits are often believed to be powerful guides and protectors, and are honored through rituals and ceremonies. One of the most well-known Native American customs is the powwow. Powwows are social gatherings that can involve singing, dancing, and drumming, and often feature colorful regalia and traditional food. Many tribes also have naming ceremonies to celebrate the birth of a new child. During the ceremony, the child is given a name that reflects their personality and character, and is often chosen by a respected elder or spiritual leader. Sacred objects that play an important role in their customs and rituals are feathers, drums, pipes, and other items that are believed to have spiritual power and significance. Nature is a fundamental aspect of North American Indian culture and spirituality. Many Native American tribes have a deep reverence for the natural world and view all living things as interconnected and interdependent. One of the primary reasons why nature is so important to Native American culture is that many tribes have lived closely with the land for thousands of years. They have developed intimate knowledge of the plants, animals, and ecosystems around them, and have learned to live in harmony with the natural world. This deep connection to nature is reflected in many aspects of Native American culture, from their spiritual beliefs to their daily lives. Many Native American tribes believe that the natural world is imbued with spiritual power and that all living things are connected by a divine energy. They often perform rituals and ceremonies to honor the natural world and seek guidance from the spirits. Some Native American tribes have also been skilled agriculturalists, cultivating crops such as corn, beans, and squash. They have developed sophisticated farming methods that are adapted to their local environments. Nature is a common theme in Native American art and craftsmanship. Many artists incorporate natural elements such as feathers, shells, and beads into their work, and use natural materials such as wood and clay to create their pieces. Storytelling has played a crucial role in preserving the history and cultural traditions of North American Indian tribes for thousands of years.
Those are my
For many
ancestors.
Native American cultures, storytelling was a way to pass down knowledge and wisdom from one generation to the next. Elders and respected members of the community would tell stories that taught important lessons about history, spirituality, and the natural world. These stories often featured mythical or supernatural characters and were used to explain the origins of the world and the place of humans within it. They were also used to teach moral values, such as the importance of respect, humility, and generosity. One of the key features of Native American storytelling is that it was an oral tradition. This means that stories were not written down, but instead passed down from generation to generation through spoken word. This allowed for a rich diversity of storytelling styles and allowed stories to evolve over time as they were retold and adapted to different contexts. The Sundance ceremony is a sacred and complex ritual that is practiced by many Native American tribes in North America. It is a central part of their spiritual and cultural traditions, and is considered one of the most important ceremonies in many tribes. The Sundance ceremony typically takes place over several days and involves a range of rituals and practices, including fasting, prayer, and dancing. It is often held in the summer months and is usually performed outdoors in a specially constructed arbor or dance circle. The central focus of the Sundance ceremony is the construction and decoration of a sacred tree or pole.
This is something they do in the Smoky Mountains in Cherokee every year when I go up for the powwow around my birthday, the 4th of July Independence Day powwow. They have already been in ceremony for 3 days, and it is the time to pay homage to your ancestors that have passed before you and what they went through, to cleanse out your spirit by the fasting, to bring in new beginnings, and pretty much kind of like a letting go of all of the bad or negative or hurt or trauma or anything that you have gone through, and let it go, cleansing it out and bringing on new horizons, bringing that. So that's why it's for days. Sometimes you're not sleeping, they're up doing, you do a sweat to sweat out the toxins, you're doing fasting, you're doing the ritual dancing. Sometimes they take what they call the medicine, which is usually peyote or some type of medicine that helps you kind of reach a higher spiritual realm where you're able to um, block out, or I'm sorry, let go of all the bars and the parameters up in your mind and be able to connect to your spiritual realm better. So it is a 2 or 3 day thing. The guy that I started watching that has gone around to all the tribes to kind of give them a little spotlight. He asks the greatest questions, and he really deep dives in these different tribes. And the guy that is doing my culture, the Cherokee Indians, he's just coming off one of these spiritual enlightenment. I think it was a 2 day, but you really don't sleep much because of the medicine. Keeps you up and keeps you connected spiritually, and it really grounds you and reconnects you to the earth. Like yesterday's topic, we were talking about manifestation, right? So when you do one of these spiritual cleansings, the 2 to 3 days, and it really depends on your tribe. But when you're doing these and you're doing the sweat, when I say a sweat box, you're going into like this, like it's like a big, I don't know, I don't want to say like barn, but it's not that big. But it maybe has like some benches around it with the coals, and you're kind of like just like steaming. You're just steaming it out, and you have someone like drumming and chanting and kind of doing this whole calling on the ancestors, calling on the spirits, the wise ones to come and bring you knowledge and bring you healing and um, bring you all the things that you need: safety, security, love, and abundance of all the things that help your spirit thrive. So when we were talking yesterday about the manifestation thing, right? And it was talking about, the power of positive thinking and keeping the positivity in your mind of the gratitude and humility and being grateful for what you have because of how you got here to where you are and the people that got you here, and thanking those that have been before you to allow you to be here where you are, to have opportunity. Even if you're not in your opportunities right now, even if you don't have it in your wheelhouse, to manifest it is the same kind of cultural ways of the indigenous people. Most tribes have their own way. Cherokees have their own style, their own chants, their own way of doing these cleansing spirit things. So I know that there are other cultures, and I do hope to start a series like this guy did for, what do they eat? What do they do for their spirit to stay healthy and happy? And, what is it a way? I think it's very interesting to learn about other cultures in that manner. My grandfather is a full blood and Eastern Band Cherokee, and from Tennessee, and North Carolina is the Eastern Band. Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia, and I think there are some in Virginia now, but those are the main places. And then it goes over into like Oklahoma, Arizona, and those places, but they're not Eastern Band. So I know when he wanted he wanted to blend in with the white man. So my great grandfather, Cherokee Indian chief of his tribe, and my great grandmother were full bloods. And when my grandfather left the reservation, he did not want to even look back. He wanted to be a white man. So he left the reservation and he met my grandmother, who was a Swedish woman. So he started his own church in North Carolina, and he started his own life, and he didn't want, there was so much ridicule and racism back then, and he didn't speak the tongue anymore. He learned English. He just 100% wanted to drop the the part of him that I felt was so beautiful in this Cherokee Indian ancestry that he had, and such a beautiful backstory. But he was so ashamed of it that he left it behind. So it left my siblings and I, kind of scrambling in the dark when he passed to try and figure out where are we from, who are we, where, what's our bloodline, what was our great grandfather like on the reservation, there's a picture of my mother sitting on her grandfather's lap, and there's a teepee and the whole tribe behind her. It's such a cool photo. I'll have to show that sometime. I have it framed up in my house, but it's so sad that that's where we are. Then we're missing out on a big part of our heritage and the traditions and all of the stories I'm sure he could have shared that, he was just too ashamed to speak of, or even learning the tongue. So it's a shame, and and I'm sure I'm not alone in that. That was a time, and they were looked different, they were looked down upon, and they were treated differently and ridiculed, and it wasn't something he was proud of, even though all of his grandchildren were very excited to learn. It was such a painful time for him to speak of. He didn't even speak of it. So sadly, we're left to our own accord to learn. My husband always says, "Oh, when we go to Cherokee, once you get your card, they're going to roll out the red carpet for you. You're probably some type of Indian princess that you don't know." I'm like, oh, I'm just like manifesting that in my mind, the the thought of. But I do love how, just from having the TV show Fit to Be Wild TV, and learning about, hunters, and how people, there are some that hunt for sport, and no judgments to anyone. But what I love about the indigenous people, especially the Cherokee that I know, my tribe, they are so big into paying homage and giving back and giving respect. And they literally use every piece of the animal in some type of way, whether it's making jewelry, making spoons or bowls, or things to dig with their claws. They use literally every part of the animal for something, and even for the crafts or the things that they sell at the fairs to make money for the tribe is just really beautiful. So I hope you guys are excited about learning these things too. It's very near and dear to me, obviously. Like the chokers that they use, they make a bone, or they use shell, they use dried berries for color. They do they use so many different parts of literally everything around them. Stone, things that they find in the river. It's they're very creative like that. So it's a really cool thing to be able to share that. Like this is one of the furs from there, and this is one of they put the tails on just for making it a adornment and making it, decorative. They're just so good with that, and it's so warming. Like when I went into Cherokee, and they have like all like the rugs and their blankets and their coverings, and they have all of the things to stay warm, and they really do, you can tell their pride in the animals that have given to them, so they can have a better life, so they can sleep warm at night, so they have a full belly, so they're able to share gifts and do trades like that. So it's so cool. It really is so cool, you guys. Let's continue on.
Known as the Sundance Tree. This tree represents the axis of the world and serves as a focal point for the ceremony. It is typically decorated with prayer ties, ribbons, and other offerings, and is considered a powerful spiritual conduit. During the Sundance ceremony, participants often fast for several days and engage in intense physical and spiritual practices. They may also engage in self-mutilation, such as piercing the skin with hooks or skewers, as a way of demonstrating their commitment to the ceremony and their spiritual beliefs. The Sundance ceremony also
Usually you'll see like um kind of like a gauge or a bar, like stuck into like the chest area, or maybe they'll have bars that are coming down, or maybe you'll see like a claw, like a bear claw or some type of claw that is used for kind of like hooking through the skin. So I've never seen anyone hang from hooks like they were just showing. I have seen that on TV, but none of the powwows I've gone to, I've never seen anything like that before.
also features a range of music and dance performances,
Now this is true.
with participants often dancing for hours at a
So
time
beautiful.
without rest.
Yes.
The dances are typically performed in a circular formation around the Sindance tree and are accompanied by singing, drumming, and other musical instruments. The potlatch tradition is a social and cultural practice that has been practiced by many indigenous peoples in the Pacific Northwest region of North America. The potlatch is a ceremonial event that involves the distribution of gifts, feasting, and other cultural activities. The term potlatch comes from the Chinook language and means to give away or to gift. The potlatch tradition was a central aspect of indigenous social and cultural life and was used to mark a variety of important events, including births, deaths, marriages, and the bestowing of names. The ceremony was also used to mark the passage of time and to reaffirm social and political relationships within and between communities. At a potlatch, the host would give away a variety of gifts, including blankets, food, and other goods, to their guests.
Dream catchers.
These gifts were often carefully chosen and represented the wealth and status of the host. The guests would then reciprocate by giving gifts of their own, thereby reaffirming social and political relationships. The Sweat Lodge ceremony is a traditional Native American spiritual practice that has been practiced for thousands of years across many tribes in North America. The Sweat Lodge itself is typically made of natural materials such as willow branches and covered with blankets or tarps. It is heated by the placement of hot rocks in a fire pit in the center of the lodge. Water is then poured onto the rocks to create steam and heat, which helps to purify and cleanse the body and spirit. During the Sweat Lodge ceremony, participants sit in a circle around the fire pit, and the door of the lodge is closed to create a dark and private space. The ceremony is often led by a spiritual leader or elder who offers prayers, songs, and other spiritual guidance. The Sweat Lodge ceremony is believed to have a range of spiritual and physical benefits. It is seen as a way of cleansing the body and spirit of impurities, as well as a way of connecting with the natural world and the spiritual realm. It is also believed to be a powerful tool for healing, both physical and emotional. The Vision Quest tradition is a spiritual journey that involves seeking guidance and insight through fasting, prayer, and meditation in isolation. In the Vision Quest, an individual goes alone into a remote area, often in nature, and fasts for several days without food or water. During this time, the individual may engage in prayer and meditation, seeking guidance and clarity about their life's purpose or a particular question or problem they are facing. The Vision Quest is often seen as a rite of passage, particularly for young people transitioning into adulthood. It is believed that by undertaking this spiritual journey, an individual can gain insight and wisdom, and can connect with their spiritual and cultural heritage in a deeper way.
It's usually done when you're like a coming of age, 16, 17 kind of realm, and you're going out, you're having no food, no water, you're in the space by yourself, and you're there for days until you feel the connection. It's quiet. It has to be quiet, nothing around. You're usually out in the forest or a big like a desert or mountainous area, just nothing around, no connection to anything. I feel like we could all probably use something like that, right? Like a once a year reboot, if you will. I think it's so important for us to reconnect with the with nature and get into a space where your body is totally cleansed, Nothing. I mean, I've never done it without water, but I could see where that would be, you would get outside of all of your elements and really tap into your surroundings and the nature. But yeah, it's definitely a spiritual enlightenment. And I do think that that is something really beautiful to behold that the culture does, um, going into becoming an adult and really connecting with yourself and really saying there's kind of like what we talked about yesterday with the spiritual enlightenment and being able to manifest and being it's consciously aware of you, where you are, your surroundings, your being, and it's really disconnecting all the other things and connecting you with self, as a Cherokee Indian would put it. You go out to discover self. What is it that you love? What is it that you want? What is it? Who are you? Not that you have all those answers, but when you have so many distractions this day and age, I think it's a beautiful thing to disconnect from it all and just really spend time with you and God and the spiritual realm, to be able to understand that we are just simple humans, um, trying to support and be around other humans. And there is a beauty in just stripping it all down. No food, no water, no cell phones, no electronics, no noise. Just you and your thoughts and God and the angels and just your spiritual journey. I don't think I've heard of anybody current day going for more than 3 days, only because if the water thing starts to really take you out of your element. But hey, it's a beautiful thing to do, and I think it's great. Usually, like, other cultures, I see how they're celebrating their coming of age and having these big lavish parties with all this food and drinks and gifts. And here in the Cherokee Indian tribal culture, it's like, no, you're going to the woods or the mountains or somewhere, desert or wherever that's nothing's around, with no food and no water for 3 days, and I'll see you when you get back. It's like the gift is that. The gift is free. The gift is spirit. The gift is life. The gift is knowing that you can be something beautiful and something great and um, something to behold without a without a thing, without a one material thing to your name, without a penny to your name. You can exude greatness through joy and love and happiness if you just learn to connect that part of your spirit to yourself. So it's beautiful. That's the gift. I think that's the beauty of it all, is that's the gift. It's free. It's free, you guys, free. A beautiful gift like that is priceless, that's free. I think, come on, gorgeous. Love it.
The Calumet ceremony, also known as the peace pipe ceremony, involves the use of a sacred pipe, which is filled with tobacco or other herbs and smoked as a way of connecting with the spiritual world and with other members of the community. The Calumet ceremony is often used as a way of promoting peace, healing, and unity among individuals and communities. The pipe itself is seen as a powerful symbol of the connection between humans and the spiritual world, and smoking it is seen as a way of offering prayers and messages to the Creator or other spiritual entities. If you enjoyed this
I
video,
remember smoking
please
the
give it a
pipe
thumbs
at a
up.
powwow, and I don't recall all the things that happened for a few hours after. I definitely visited another time and space in my mind. I don't know if any of you have ever done a powwow or know what I'm talking about, but I'm pretty sure there was a peyote lacing in here, which will kind of give the effects of what they say for hallucinogenics, or just kind of being able to just see that we are all particles and not beings. I don't know how to explain it in words. It's mind blowing. It's beautiful and it takes you to a space. But when you're not sure what's going down, it can be a little bit whoa at first. but it's really cool to get to that spot and be able to have that connection and see the other side of things. It's beautiful. I want to show you the sky. Hold on.
Throughout history, Native American.
Okay. Oh, we'll get back to that one too.
Hey guys, here's the secret to.
Nope, not that guy.
My name is Vernon Foster,
Hold on, I'll be able to tell you one thing.
and I am a full-blooded Klamath Modoc
No,
Indian.
that's not him.
Our skin is an incredibly important
gosh.
organ. It actually reflects the health status of all the other organs.
No. What did I do with the guy?
My name
We'll
is
see this guy.
Vernon
We'll just
Foster,
watch this guy.
and I
Dude,
am a
this is a whole other
full-blooded
tribe.
Klamath Modoc Indian. The Klamath Modoc people reside in the state of Oregon.
Oregon.
So this is the state in which I was born. At a very early age, since I was placed in various foster homes, one of the foster homes ended up to be in Minnesota, and I was with a Native family, and that was my first introduction to the Native people. Because prior to that, the homes that I resided in were not Native people. They had no idea about the culture as well as myself at such a young age. So I basically had to discover being a Native person, and I did it through this Native family that took me in as a foster boy. They were involved with tradition and culture, and they would attend ceremonies. And being at the age I was at that time, 14, I really had no knowledge, no interest about separating what a Native life was compared to what the life I had lived. But I started to attend the ceremonies with them, basically from their request. And it seemed as though it just miraculously happened that I connected with what was being said, that were being sung. And the men that were speaking and the way they spoke, I resonated with that. And from that moment on, I tried to make sure that if not the family, at least myself attended some sort of ceremony or gathering. And that was my introduction into the Native world. Well, at that age, at 15, 14, these men and women, they were speaking, they were leaders, they were great leaders, and I didn't realize that what I was listening to in these meetings was the birth of the American Indian movement. Unlike a lot of other youth that were drawn toward youth activities, I was drawn toward the singing. I was drawn to the language. I was drawn to the ceremonies. And eventually I was drawn to the politics of what I was hearing. So at that time, because the way I was brought up, my self-esteem wasn't that great. In fact, I oftentimes look for a way out of life. And it was that American Indian movement, I won't go into the story in depth, but it was that movement, that meeting that I attended was one that saved my life. And ever since then, I have dedicated my life to not just the American Indian movement, but to the spiritual path. So at a very early age, working and living actually beside medicine men and women, I started to learn Native culture in a different way than I ever knew was possible, I guess, because my contact or my visual contact with Native people has always been television. And this was an opportunity to get first-hand experience from real Native people in a real Native setting. And so at the age of 17, I went on my first vision quest, and working with the medicine men at that time, I learned many things, many ceremonies, and many ways on this spiritual road, which eventually helped me overcome my depression, helped me overcome some of the battles I was facing in my own personal life. So as my life kind of progressed, I became an actor for many years in Hollywood, and I eventually became a private investigator, keeping
Okay.
my background
Now here's this.
issues
Hold on. Let's
the
go.
community, but also with the states and with federal programs. And from there, I kind of just started to work in the mental health field and found some programs, youth programs, adult programs, dealing with addictions, dealing with social issues that we face today. In doing that, it led me, I'm kind of jumping ahead here, it led me to where my life is today. Prior to being here in Brazil, I was traveling all throughout Europe, Japan, and in different places of the world, sharing not only the
Remember, I
traditional
told you
concepts, philosophy, ideas of Native
it's in
people,
Europe too.
spirituality, but how to implement those teachings into daily life, how we can overcome some of the obstacles that we face today. We're in a world that is faced with a magnitude of domestic violence, of addiction, of self-inflicted depressions. And what I've discovered just recently in the last 10 years, I started working with what I refer to as past cultural historic trauma. The seventh generation, a Native American concept, deals with this. And I've been able to take that seventh generation concept and begin to work on a healing process of our past generational historic trauma. Now, I've been around the world, so I hear many people talking about past cultural traumas, but in the sense that it becomes a blaming, a justification to blame our current issues, our current problems that we face today on our ancestry. Well, some of that, yes, it does come from that. But we have an opportunity to heal. We have an opportunity to empty the bucket that has been handed down, and the bucket we inherited with the pain and the sorrow of our past generations. And
What a beautiful message for any culture really that has experienced, you know, maybe maybe you're not experiencing it current day, but maybe you have a grandmother or someone in your family that tells you of stories of old where they were mistreated and because of the color of their skin or because of, the culture that they are. I think that this is something really powerful to take from the way that the indigenous people look at it, because their whole mantra for things is you can't carry on. You're not giving homage or respect to your ancestors and all the pain that they went through if you aren't learning the power of what the culture is about, which is healing, acceptance, healing, and moving on in a positive light, that in no circumstance do you need to look at it in a negative way. That's why they do, or look at life in a negative stance, because that's taking away from all of the things that you should feel grateful and blessed that you're here, because they're not. And all the things that they did for you to be here. So they go through this whole ritual when they're doing these like coming of age rituals or cleansing rituals, or like you saw the steam houses. When you're going through those scenarios, those are supposed to be the moments where you're fasting, you're cleansing your body, you're sweating it all out, you're doing your ritual dances, and you're connecting with spirit, you're connecting with earth, mother earth, and you're trying to get back to a space and release all the trauma and the pain and the sadness, so you can get to the space where you're meant to be, which is in a space of gratitude and happiness and joy. no matter what it is that you're going through, no matter what you have, it's meant to cleanse and get rid of it. And therefore you can move forward from there and accept the bounty of a beautiful life and happiness. And that's kind of what we were talking about yesterday in the quantum physics behind it all with the scientists, and talking about, the laws of attraction and what you put out is what you get. Same kind of concept, which is what led me down the path of, let me talk about my people. Let me talk about the indigenous people, the Cherokee Indian tribe that, my ancestors, my grandfather, full blood, my grandparents, full blood on the reservation. Let me talk about that and talk about how it relates. It's the same type of thing. You can't blame current day people for what had happened to your ancestors. All you're doing is bringing that pain and that anguish and that sadness over, when really it's that only holds you back. If it doesn't serve you purpose, is the Cherokee Indian way. If it doesn't serve you purpose, let it go and have this free space to be able to receive love and light and bounty, which is, whatever God is going to send your way, or the powerful one in the sky, as they say. But you got to let it go. And it holds no space in your future or moving forward. It's kind of like how they say, whether it is in your relationship or a friendship or at work or whatever, you got to either let it go or move on. That's the only options. You can't just keep holding it. It tears you down. It holds you back, like the old ball and chain, they say. It holds you back. It keeps you cannot move forward if you're constantly living in the past. So I think it's a beautiful message that he's talking about with his ancestors, and how the culture is very rich in this feeling of giving. What you put out is what you get back. So if you put out that angst and that hate and that resentment, and there was a guy I was watching, you're going to get that back. There was a guy I was watching who was doing an interview with some other indigenous people in a different tribe, and every Indians are very tribe strong. They don't like to be really called Native Americans. That's just like a broad spectrum. They want to be called by their tribe. Cherokee Indians, Lakota, the Oso, they all want to be called by their tribe name. That they're very tribe strong. But when he's talking to them, he's telling them, when he's doing this interview, he's telling them about, your vibrations, the vibrations that you put off, the vibrations you can't. That's why a lot of tribes don't bring white men. If you're white, you can't come around. There's they feel like it's such a disrespect to their ancestors. And that's why, like, I remember wanting to go to this tribal thing for my people in, it was local. There's a local group of Cherokee Indians, a lot of different Indians, but unless you're Indian, you weren't allowed. I was like, can my husband come too? Because he would really love to do this, like you steam, the chanting, the drums. You really get connected with your spiritual, get grounded. And they said, no, mm-mm. You have to be Indian. They don't want any person outside of the culture around, because they feel very strongly about, even if you step foot on the land and you've gone somewhere around white people and they're carrying the way of the white people, and the spiritual realm, the energy of them. They don't even like you coming onto the land until you've gone through one of these cleanses. So your spirit can be almost like a saging of your spirit, so you're not bringing anything onto the land that will tarnish the space and the vibrations that they're trying to put out. But also, what I was learning about was all the sadness about the drugs going on in these reservations right now, in these tribes. They said it's getting really bad. So I'm going to keep them in my prayers. This is, at least they're starting to get more shine. And I thought, how sad of me to not step forward and also, you know, pay homage to my ancestors, and to let them know that they are thought of and they are loved, and I am grateful. I hold gratitude all the time. I teach my children about our ancestry. I got it hanging on our wall. My mom on the lap of her father, the chief, and with the teepee and all the tribe behind her. It's really cool. I will post that for you guys, but it's very, very interesting to learn about the other cultures too. And I will roll into other cultures outside of the Indian Native American, but they have their own medicine. They got their own medicine man that they go to, and they use all the natural herbs and all the stuff like that. So that's so important to know, because they don't have Western medicine in a lot of the places that they subside in. So they just do what God had intended us to do, which is being able to heal and live off the land. So, and they're living for, well into their 80s, 90s, hundreds without Western medicine. And that's what this channel is all about, is healing yourself and living your best life from the inside out with all natural things that you can do, that you can even start weaning yourself off once you get into a happier, better physical, mental space. You can start weaning yourself off of the all the harsh chemically treated drugs that they give you, synthetic drugs to treat your symptoms. I mean, I don't just go cold turkey and start weaning yourself off. You have to be in a healthy space. But I've had many clients that have been on so many heart pills, blood pressure pills, like all the pill, like insulin, all the things. And they'll be on like 10 different prescription drugs. And I'm with them for 6 months, and they maybe end up at that point like on 1 or 2 with a minimal dose, because now they're actually living. Now they're actually healing. Now their bodies had time to heal. And all I'm introducing is all natural stuff and all natural ways of life and being that help them achieve and let their bodies start healing itself. So it's a beautiful thing. This culture is, I love it. And I know that I know there's a medicine woman in my ancestry that is probably why I'm such a healer and nurturer in my life, because I'm sure there is a strong-willed medicine woman who is all about that healing life. And I wish my grandfather felt more comfortable talking about it and wasn't so ashamed of it. But I'm going to discover, there's so many avenues to discover your ancestors and your past now. I love it. What'd you say, Bo? My late grandmother grew up in South Dakota, around the Lakota. Yep. She went back in the 60s, 70s and worked with a school and radio station there. It's sad what's happening to the Lakota. The guy that I told you, he's doing like a whole train of visiting all this different. They're a poor nation, and they got it real bad right now. So I'm hoping by this stream of things that he's doing is going to shed more light and more people will want to help. But it's really sad what's happening to Lakota. Cherokee is the only nation that I can see that's actually doing something to benefit their people of the tribe, their children, sending them full ride to school for any college they want to go to, anywhere. When I was going to college, it was, just for engineering. That was the only one they would really give you a full ride. But I did get partial college coverage, and that was I wasn't even a card carrier at that time. My brother was, but I'm trying to get into a card carrying now so my children can have that. But there's a stipend you get every 6 months. They put money into the account from the casino, and now from Buc-ee's. They have a Buc-ee's. So, yeah, I'm hoping that other tribes will get a clue and do what the Cherokee do. Yes, Cherokee. That's my bloodline. Deep rooted. So
And I come to the conclusion that if we empty that bucket, because we today have the means, we have the know-how, we have the knowledge, we have the wisdom, and we have the tools to do it. So we empty that bucket of the past generations, we can let our ancestors rest in peace and stop digging them up to blame our problems on them. And we can live the happy life that they wish they could have lived. because I look at those generations and I put it in a time frame. I look what was happening in the period of time of my great-great-grandmother and grandfather. Then I look at the time period, what was happening during my grandmother and my grandfather's time. And then I look closer to my mother and my father, and I see what was happening, what led to alcohol, those things. So when I start to empty that bucket as the seventh generation, my ancestors, my relatives behind me can rest in peace, and I can live the life that they probably wish that they could have lived. The reason it's important for me to empty that bucket using that concept is because now I have 2 daughters. And emptying that bucket, I know exactly what my daughters are going to inherit. They're going to inherit the knowledge and the wisdom to deal with problems and situations in their life. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be carried on to my grandson and my granddaughters and my great-granddaughter and great-grandson who are not in this world yet. That is the 7th generation. 3 generations behind us, 3 generations ahead of us, and me at the top is the 7th generation. Soon I will step down and take my parents and heal himself. And so as we begin to implement our native teachings and our native ideas and concepts and philosophies into everyday society, people begin to understand it's a very simple process. The simple process is just living your life who you are. And when I say that, many people become their sickness. They carry on the personality of their sickness. So their sickness takes control of their life, whether that sickness be some kind of medical sickness or, most importantly, emotional sickness. Wow. So a depressed person becomes so depressed, so down, that depression begins to dictate to them how to feel, what to feel, what to do, how to do it.
I could agree with that.
And that person that is inflicted by that listens to depression. Because myself, I'm one of those examples. Let me give you a little quick story. I was sitting in my flat and I was just minding my own business, and I got a knock on the door, and I opened the door, and there's depression. Didn't say good morning, didn't say hello, how you doing? It just came in, and it went all through my flat, told me what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and it did whatever it wanted, and I let it. And when it was finished with me, it just got up and left. Didn't say thank you, didn't say goodbye, didn't see you later.
I like his analogy.
It just left. A few weeks later went by, and another knock on the door. I open it, and there's depression. Depression standing there with the whole box full of groceries. He goes into my kitchen, takes everything I like to eat out, and puts everything in the cupboard that he likes. Again, took over my house, and when he was finished, left. No thank you, no goodbye, no see you later. A few months went by, and I got a knock on the door, and there's depression. And he's holding a suitcase, clothes, and he goes to my closet, takes out my bright colored shirts, hangs up all his black clothes, makes himself at home, tells me what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And I did it. I did everything depression asked. And then in the morning, I was sitting at the table drinking coffee, and depression came in. I knew what depression wanted me to do next, but I already tried it. It didn't work. So I looked depression in the eyes and I said, sit down. We need to have a talk. And depression came and sat down. And I said, listen, you're welcome to come here anytime you want. Anytime you want to come, you're welcome. But when you do, you have to follow my rules. And with that, depression stood up, looked at me, and said, I respect you. I asked depression, why do you respect me? And depression's answer, you stood up to me. And I looked at depression and I said, I respect you too, because I know how much power you have.
Hmm.
And with that, depression stood up, told me I am leaving, and he left. A few
Yay.
weeks later, got a knock on the door. Depression standing there, looked at me. Can I come in? And I said, sure, come on in. We sat down, we had a good cup of coffee. He helped me write a couple good songs on my guitar. I looked at my watch and I said, it's time for you to go. And depression stood up
Let's
and it left.
go.
See, that
Taking control.
concept, that story is saying, instead of spending the years that we have fighting, pushing away our feelings, which is a part of us, make friends with your feelings. Make allies with your feelings, not enemies.
Wow.
Because you're only
I love
fighting
that.
yourself. You're the only one that's going to end up with bruises,
That's
not
right.
your feeling, not your emotion. That is a traditional concept, utilizing words, if you will, to fit into something that we deal with every day. People are depressed. People are angry. People are frustrated. People are jealous. People have
True.
hatred,
Fact.
rage. Those are feelings and those are emotions. They are a part of us. They are attached to us. So using these concepts, I try to bring the teaching that it's time to surrender. It's time to make friends with your feelings, because making friends with your feelings, you make friends with yourself. That's just one
That's
of the
right.
many exercises that I've come up with that I've been able to share in circles and
So, how powerful is that, right? Just saying, don't feel like you have to run from your emotions or your feelings that you're going through. Have a sit down with yourself and say, okay, this is something that's trying to take over my life. It's changing the way I'm feeling. It's changing the way I'm doing things. It's changing my mood. How about instead of feeding into it, let me show this that I'm in control. I can make better decisions. I can choose that I'm not going to live that life because that life isn't for me. Depression is something that I feel you can take control over. Maybe you're not feeling motivated to do things, but if you just put one foot in front of the other and give it a go, I have been in that state too. When our daughter was fighting for her life when she got cancer, we went down that road. We were in a space where I just didn't want to be around anyone. I didn't think I was ever in a great mood because I wasn't. I was trying to do everything I could just to be positive and smile for her and just get through each day. If I didn't have God in my life, I don't know how I would have done it. If I wasn't such a glass half full person, I don't know how I could have done it. But I definitely can understand what people go through when they're depressed. It could just be situational depression too, like you lost your job or you have to get another job and you're never going to see your kids or whatever the situation. Now these people in California sadly devastated like the people that are here in North Carolina where they lost their homes and their whole livelihood in a blink of an eye. It's these teachings that we've talked about for the last few days now on the podcast yesterday about manifesting your life in the way of your mentality, how you approach whatever's given to you, how you approach anything thrown your way, even in the worst hour. The way to get through it and the way to get back on top is not by sulking and going through it. Yes, you can. You can do that and give yourself a limit. Like I give my kids, okay, you cried about it for 15 minutes. We're good. Let's go. We're moving on because it's not going to do anything to help it. Tears don't do anything but give you a sudden burst of that good serotonin to help you feel good. It releases a good chemical. That's why a good cry, people are like, all I need is a good cry because it releases a chemical that makes you feel happy and euphoric after you're done. So that's why I always, even my kids, I'm like, my boys, like, don't feel crying is a part of who you're supposed to be. It doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. So if you have something that really is worth crying over, your heart is broken, or you didn't get something that you really had your heart set on, a position or a spot on the team, or whatever the case in your life, someone you love and they don't love you back, there are reasons to cry, and it doesn't make you weak, it just makes you human. And I teach my boys that, like, don't suppress it, because when you do allow yourself to go into that space, you're in touch with your emotions, and then you are more whole. When you try to deny parts of who you are, parts of your natural emotional spirit being, you are denying parts of yourself, so you'll never be whole, because you're not accepting of yourself. So it's very powerful when you're starting to really dive into manifestation, your consciousness, connecting your mind to yourself, knowing that we are not our bodies, we are our consciousness, and just being able to tap into power of positive thinking in all realms. Because like the old, is it Isaac Newton saying of the laws of attraction, you get out what you put out, you get back what you put out, you reap what you sow, all of those things. For every, what is it, I'm gonna mess it up, for every equal reaction there's an opposite. I'm gonna mess it up. Bo, you're here to tell me what it is. You guys know what I'm talking about. The laws of attraction. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Something like that. I think I just nailed it right there. But this is what I'm saying, is that you get in that negative space and then you want something positive. Why? How? What are you putting out? What energy are you putting out? Are you drawing in positive people? Are you drawing in that positive light? Are you opening your mind and that space up to more opportunity to come to you when you're throwing all of your energetic blockers up? No, of course you're not. Is your life going to be more fulfilled when you only see the negative and you're complaining about everything and you're not grateful for anything? In the Bible, it says, if you're not grateful and you're going to complain and don't show gratitude for the things that you have, they can be taken from you too. And then what? Like, I show gratitude to just my body in general of having two legs. We talk about it. We pray over every meal in our house and we pass around the prayer. And now my children even say it. God, thank you so much for my vision. Thank you for and I have a boy that has terrible eyesight, but at least he can see. At least he's not so bad that he can wear glasses or contacts, which we didn't have before. He still can't see 20/20. Even with those things, his glasses are so thick, but he still thanks God for his vision, because it could be worse. He still thanks God for our hands that we can wrap around. We give family group hugs all the time, throughout at least 2 or 3 times a day. It's important, and to be able to just hug your children or hug your loved ones is such a blessing. And when you stop counting your daily blessings of the things that you have, you start living a life that is full of despair and sadness and destruction. Because if you have nothing and you're not grateful for, you have nothing as in like the way of, you might see it, material things, and then you're not grateful for the things that you actually do have, how are you what how do you expect to be happy? You're only going to be thinking about what you don't have, what you're without, rather than what you're with. And that's no space to be. That is 100% sure to live a life that is not to the fullest, that is not in your happiest light. You can have nothing and still live the happiest life. You just it's all about the mental change, changing it into gratitude, into a space of humility, being humbled and loving everything about what you actually do have, and knowing that it could be worse. You don't want the things that you do actually have taken away because you weren't grateful for those, because all you were doing was thinking about the without crew. Don't be a part of the without crew. Be a part of the with crew. Get with it. You don't want to get without it. You want to get with it. So let's get with it. For every action, there is a reaction. Yeah. But it was like, yeah, there's an equal or opposite reaction. This guy must be a recovered alcoholic like me. Well, when I'm deep diving into Bo, yeah, that's probably because when I've just been doing this deep dive into the like current day other cultures, other tribes, they are talking about when the white men would come through with the armies or whatever, the military, and they needed them to fight for them, they would join the military. And you're not allowed to drink on reservations. You're not allowed back then. You're not allowed. That was illegal. You would get arrested for that. And my great grandfather was one that would go around. He 100% purebred Indian, Cherokee Indian, and he would go around and make sure that he kind of upheld the law of his tribe. And it's called something a curator, or I don't remember. I have to look that up. I have to look what it is. But he would go around and make sure it was illegal to do so. And then when the troops would come through and start collecting Indians to become part of the military, they were allowed to drink. So this was a big part of these Indians getting hooked on alcohol, and then they would come back like full on raging alcoholics and smuggling moonshine. So it was definitely a different time when these wars were taking place, and they started using Indians for the war. And then they were kind of like um, woven into the white man's culture, and were bringing, trying to smuggling moonshine was a big thing back then. So a lot of them did get addicted to alcohol, and they started to lose their way, if anything. And then they kind of rolled into other drugs like methamphetamine, and now there's fentanyl. So now a lot of Indians are dying, and there's not a whole lot of if the Indians left to begin with. So it's really sad. It's a really sad thing that's happening. And this guy, I gotta find. I think he's on here. I'll look it up. He is doing um, this whole train of all the different this whole montage, and this like unveiling of all these different tribes. I think he's doing maybe 45 minutes to an hour for each tribe, but it really is deep diving, and all of them seem to have the same common denominator, and that is a really bad drug problem right now. Drugs and alcohol on the reservations. It's bad and it's sad. So, and it goes against all their teachings that they have about not not disrespecting the ancestors like that, and bringing it onto the land, and almost like spitting in their face, like you went through all that you did, all of your ancestors, the Trail of Tears, and getting kicked off their land, and raped and killed and pillaged and slaved, and all of that they went through for what? For you to waste it on that? So it's kind of like the big cultural uprising right now with the Cherokee Indian, the Lakota, the all so many tribes, is why, and like just trying to get back to their roots and cleaning out and clearing up and cleansing their lands, their people, their tribe, and paying homage to their ancestors, to the spirits that are watching them waste away and do these horrific things. Um, Domestic violence has gotten bad, and all of these things. So it's definitely, I'm glad that he's putting a spotlight there. So hopefully more people can play a role. And don't forget, I know a lot of them are in these interviews that we're talking. We're like, our government is sending money to this country to help and that country to help. And they're like, we need help. They're flying their flags upside down, which is a sign of distress. And this is such a beautiful culture. It would be so sad to see it destroyed and us not be helping them. So I'm trying to do my part to pay my ancestors homage and respect, and bringing this to the forefront, because the message is so beautiful and pure, and exactly what we're talking about that we need more of, which is power of positive thinking, the power of cleansing, and being true to yourself, and knowing oneself, and how to spread all of that to those around you, and living your best life from the inside out. It's a culture we don't want to dismiss. We don't want it to be extinct like some animals that we have and some other cultures. It's really sad when the current day they're flying their flags upside down. And they're like, please, we need help. The Indian people need help too. All these people on the reservations, all the different tribes, they're all in the same space of distress. And, if our government has billions and trillions of dollars to send elsewhere, other countries to help, why can't they send it to the states we have right here in the United States where these Indians reside to help them? So I'm hoping to help spread awareness with that. But the culture is so beautiful, and I really do hope you guys are learning something that is of value today about this culture. Let me go back. I really want you to send. So this is interesting because I was going to show this yesterday, and then I took a turn and
Our skin is an incredibly
my bad. We started talking about the book The Secret yesterday and how to manifest greatness. So then I went back to look at the video that I was going to post or talk about. So hold on one second. And I was like, wow, how crazy full circle is this message from my ancestors right now? Because this video that I'm about to play for you is
This nutritious stew combines the
sorry, is about the same type of thing that I don't know, where is it? That we were talking about, even though I derailed and went to another thing. Hold on, let me just
5 fascinating facts about Native American.
no,
North American Indians refers to the
no,
Throughout history, Native American tribes have embraced beauty rituals.
nope, not it either. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Nope, this is medicine herbs. I do want to get back to that.
The supplement world is the wild, wild west.
Nope,
And
not it either.
it's time to
Oh, here it is. So this is something that
Anyone
I was
with
gonna
$10,000
play yesterday, even though I went off track and then went into, because the message was called to me so abruptly and in my face, that I had to talk about that book and had to talk about manifestation because of so much devastation. And how do you stay positive in a time where there's so much devastation and destruction around you, especially if you're one that's going through it. So I felt like it was such a powerful message I was moved to talk about yesterday. But then when I went back to look at the videos that I was going to share today, I was like, wow, this guy's message, yesterday was talking about your energy and staying positive, and what you put out, you get back, all the things we've been talking about here, the laws of attraction, and the power of your energy in your space. Like if somebody's like super negative and just like constantly, that will affect you. It'll be draining. You ever feel drained after you're with someone who just constantly complains about something? It's draining. You have to put your energy blockers up, as the Cherokees say. You have to envision that there is this like really thick plexiglass kind of wall around your spirit and your emotions. And then when you're around, so if you're around a social setting and there's somebody that's just constantly is like a bitter person complaining and not happy about anything at all that comes out of their mouth, so that energy doesn't affect your spirit, you put your energy blocker up. You just envision like this very thick wall. That way it's a clear wall, so they can see that you're being empathetic and you can be there for them empathetically, but it's that energy is not going to affect your spirit. And that's the big part of it, your energy blocker. You got to put that up, because those people will absolutely drain you dry. And call them energy suckers. Sometimes people call them that, because you don't want that energy into your space or into your spirit or your orbit. A lot of times if that starts happening, if I'm out and about, I'll gracefully bow out and like have to go to the restroom, or you know dismiss myself in a classy kind way. But I don't want to be around it because it's not for me. I don't engage in that kind of conversation. I have a lot of great things I like to talk about, and it's not going to be talking bad about other people or putting that negative aura out into the world. I think it's just such a waste of time and energy and space. So I do feel like if you're out there and you have friends or people that you know, or you get around that even in a social setting, learn to put your energy blocker wall up. That wall allows you to show love and expression through your face and empathy, but you're not absorbing that, and you have to imagine like it's just bouncing off that wall and not coming towards you, and you're totally protected in your spirit, and you're able to keep your spirit in a happy place intact, and you can go away. It's amazing once you do it. And remember, it goes along the whole line of the consciously aware and being conscious of yourself and the power of your conscious mind. And when you do this, I'm telling you right now, it works so well. When you envision that, and you envision that all the negativity coming at you is, or like in your orbit, is bouncing off that, and it's not affecting you, you walk away so much lighter. It's really impressive. I remember being taught that from an elder, is what they call like an elderly, the person in your tribe in the Cherokee Nation. They call him an elder. And I remember they saying, you just got to put your energy blocker up. You can't do it. You do the energy block. Like, they're very broken in their English, but you put the energy blocker up, and it's so powerful. And it really is just like not allowing you to absorb any of that nonsense, because it's not yours to hold. If that person wants to hold it, that's on them, but it's not for you to carry around. That is to let go, release. It has nothing to do with you. Not even let it go. Don't even let it in. You just listen. You can attentively listen and then let it go. And I'm such an empathetic, sympathetic, compassionate person and I'm very big on feeling energy. Like, I can feel without even words spoken, people around me that are high stress, or like something's going on or something's off. I can feel their energy, and it makes me feel some type of way. But I didn't even know about all those feelings I've always had my whole life. I didn't know until I was like later on in life, and somebody explained it to me that was in my culture. And they're like, oh, you're a feeler. I was like, oh no, I don't want to feel everybody's energies. And she's like, you got to put your energy blocker up. I'm like, oh, that's a thing? I could do that? And then I did, and it was amazing. And I will never not have that when I'm in that space. But I'm always putting my full spirit and energy into those around me. But I have to learn, for those bloodsuckers, that nothing you do or say, or the compassion or energy, good vibrations that you give off, are ever going to help or fix that person. There are those people in the world, and you have to know those people and be able to locate, be aware of who those people are, and when it starts to happen, and then boom, just throw that clear energy blocker wall up and go about your time, and it won't affect you. Beautiful, right? So anyway, back to the video I was going to play yesterday. So this was a video I was going to play yesterday originally, before I totally flipped the script and I got the message loud and clear by so many signs around me yesterday saying there must be somebody that needs to hear this today about power, positive thinking, and manifesting greatness. I needed to do that yesterday, and I did. But this is right here. You're a feeler too, Bo. Yeah. An energy feeler, not with my hands. Okay, so this is the video I was going to play yesterday. Remember, yesterday was about Newton's law, power of attraction, conscious mind, being able to control who you are, like how you receive things, being able to control your emotions by your being consciously aware of the emotions that don't serve you, and you can change that by the way that you handle it. All of those things, right? That was yesterday's topic that I switched. This was the video I was going to play originally, which is about the Native American, or Cherokee Indian, indigenous culture. This was the original video, and I can't believe how full circle the message really was about this topic. So clearly there are people watching this that need to hear the message loud and clear, because even though this was supposed to be yesterday's and I'm doing it today, it's still on topic. Watch when you hear it. You're going to see how crazy full circle surrounding my orbit this is, and the message is loud and clear.
Dollars or more in credit card debt or personal loans may qualify for help from National Debt Relief. Minimum payments could
Traditional teaching is that you can destroy yourself by the things that you think that are wrong, the things that you hear that are wrong, the things that you say that are wrong, the things that you taste and touch. They are the things that occur from within you that will destroy you. In the traditional teachings of our people, we refrain from talking about skinwalkers or various other things that are negative. You have to be aware of the things that you do, the things that you think, the things that you say, the things that you eat, the things that you hear, the things that you touch, the use of the physical senses.
Now, this is Navajo. The Cherokee belief is the same.
Throughout my youth and into my adult years, I have had the opportunity to talk with people that were members of the Navajo Medicine Man associations, and I've had some very great experiences. And there used to be a lot of men in that and women to be put into a register of the medicine men. Who we had a record one time. We had about 3,000 people that we had listed, and but today you look at that list and probably less than 5,000 really have learned the traditional ceremonies and that, and can still perform them correctly. But one of the things that they taught, even though that they would be sometimes contacted to perform ceremony to cure some illnesses or some physical condition or spiritual conditions or emotional, mental conditions, the teaching that they all spoke of and they taught was that it is something that you did in your daily life in this the third world that caused that illness to come upon you. So in the traditional teaching, we have the teaching of which means if it's to be, it's up to me. But the other thing is you can bring negative unintentionally upon yourself by the things you do. If anything is to be, it's up to you. But if you do things that are negative, then you bring things that are negative onto you. It may be making a mistake or something. You do something and you bring illness upon yourself, which could be emotional illness, mental illness, spiritual illness, or even a physical illness. And that's when you have a hand trembler diagnosed, a certain ceremony to be performed. But it is that the medicine people teach that you caused this problem to come upon yourself. And so it has affected you. It's where you saw something, you touched something, you heard something, or you used your physical senses to come in contact with something that brought that illness upon you. And so it is with your thoughts. If you think certain things, then you're going to get certain things happening to you. And so in the traditional teachings of our people, we refrain from talking about skinwalkers or various other things that are negative. You focus on the negative, pretty soon you're going to have some experience with the negative things, and that's not a good thing. And so the traditional teaching is that also you have to be aware of the things that you do, the things that you think, the things that you say, the things that you eat, the things that you hear, the things that you touch. All of these things, the use of the physical senses to satisfy physical habits or whatever.
So what he's saying is being aware of everything in your surrounding, like the doctors and the scientists were talking about yesterday. If you guys haven't seen yesterday's podcast, you have to go back and either listen to it. You don't ever have to just watch it. You can just put it on the background and listen to it while you're doing something. It's so full of wonderful knowledge that is going to literally help you live a better life. Anything on this channel I'm putting out is always going to be working towards you living your best, absolute best life from the inside out. I feel so positive and powerful about that message from this channel. And this is one of those things is that they were talking about yesterday too, is being just aware of the people that you have in your space, the things that you're doing. Are you doing it with good intention? The things that you're bringing into your life, is it done with good intention? If you pay attention to the things down to the little tiny, like what he's saying, what you put into your mouth, what you touch, even like, are you messing around with something you shouldn't be, or something that's got maybe negative energy on it, or it's not good for you? Maybe you're, I don't know, the things that you're doing with your hands, maybe they're not in positive way. Paying attention and just being so hyper aware of your surrounding is really going to hold you accountable and help you be more forefront, like looking in a mirror at yourself rather than building a facade of what you think you are or who you think you are. Somebody had said to me yesterday, had reached out and said, I read the book that I'm reading, which is called The Magic. And there is a book called The Secret, and The Secret is about, it's kind of like, the what I'm talking about, like the laws of attraction and that kind of thing. But The Magic is talking about gratitude. The whole book is about gratitude. And they said, I got the book because you're reading the book, and I'm to the part where it's talking about how gratitude in the sense of like saying thank you to someone opening the door, or thank you for someone that did something, or please when you're asking for something kindly. That's not gratitude. It is kind to do that, but it doesn't make you a grateful person. A grateful person is somebody that has true intentions and truly gives off from your core. You truly are grateful for the things that you have, or grateful for life in general. You put off gratitude, and that is living your most gracious life. That is like, if somebody is going out of their way, you stop. You're not like, oh, thank you, and keep going. You stop and like, I thank you so much. That was so nice. Giving a full gratitude of feeling and emotion. If somebody does something for you, maybe you take a second to stop and pay more attention to the way that you're showing your gratitude and feeling your gratitude, not just like a thing you're saying like hello, goodbye, or hey, how are you, and not really care or stop to think about what or hear that person's answer. You're just like, oh, hey, what's up, how's it going, and then keep going. That's, you can tell the difference of somebody who is actually carrying that concern or that gratitude or that kindness, and who is just like, oh, this is something that you're supposed to say. Like my daughter, we've been talking about this in our household. And so my daughter has gotten into a habit of, now if she'll catch herself, she does it. She wants to be able to say things with intention. So she'll catch herself saying something because she thinks that that's what you want to hear, but it's not what she's feeling. I mean, she's 7. So this is the daughter that went through cancer. So she says now she'll automatically respond like, oh, yeah, that's great. I think that, yeah, I think that that's beautiful, or whatever. Talking, maybe it's something that I'm showing that I made, or can I come sit next to you? Yeah, sure, you can come sit next to me. Like simple little things, right? And she'll be like, actually, mommy, I told you that I really liked it, but honestly, I didn't really like it like that much. And I said, that's okay, sweetheart. You don't have to say that you liked it if you didn't. You can say, um, it's good for me. It's good for you, but maybe it's not for me. It's okay. We're all different, and it's okay. And I love that you want to be honest. There is a balance there. You don't want to be brutally mean that people, don't hear that you're coming from a good place. But she was like, actually, I don't really want you to sit in here. I'm kind of having some alone time right now. And I said, that's totally fine for you to answer first with that. You don't have to. So she's becoming aware of it. So it's made me become aware of it, and like not giving those answers. And I feel like if someone knows you're of good intention and the way that you say it, there's a way to say everything that, and you're not being hurtful with your words. You're just simply conveying the way that you're feeling about something in a kind, communicative manner. I feel like constructive criticism is not something to look down or frown upon. So the message is so pure here, and the same as yesterday. You want something good and positive to come back out of your life, put it out. You want to see a change. You're just so drained every day. Start saying positive things instead of negative things. You can't stand your job, find another one, or start finding a way that what you love about your job. Being like, you know what? I'm going to change my mood today. I'm going to start filling my space with positive thoughts and positive energy, and saying, you know what? I'm really enjoying being here today because at least I have a job and I'm able to make money so I can support my family or support myself. Maybe those are the words that come out. And once that gratitude starts changing your spirit and who you are, and your being in your outlook, you're going to start seeing bigger changes too, and being able to manifest those bigger things, because you won't be so woe is me, right? And that's the goal. That's the goal. And guess what? It's free to do it. It's free. You don't have to pay for therapy to do that. You don't have to pay for a program. You don't have to spend endless hours to do something. You can just literally start it right now for free. How cool is that? It's like God gave you the blessings to be able to have the best possible life. And we just really made a mess of things, didn't we? Wow, we really run amok down here. We need to get back to the roots. Let me finish this little segment out. It's so good. This guy's so good.
Ever. There are things to be avoided. And so the traditional teachings say that, if you're going to be a little bit more aware, be aware that anything that you do and to yourself is something that you can do excessively and destroy yourself from within. And so it is that the teaching also goes on to say that if as a family member you do things that are contrary to what the people in your family have been doing for years, that if you do things too contrary to those traditional values of family, you can destroy your family. And you can also do, by your same behavior, have a negative impact on society, and you can destroy society. And so it is that all over the world, that if people do things in a negative way and things that are contrary to civility, that they can destroy the world from within by their own actions. So the traditional teaching is that.
How powerful is that? Think about the world right now, like in the last 4 years, COVID time, like the absolute chaos of just how we started speaking to one another, how we just started being more combative and more hate words, more hate speech, just like filling the airwaves, whether it's from the news to the online social media stuff to just like within your own family or friend group, just spewing out all the things that we're talking about not doing today, which is the negative, just bad vibrations. And what came of it? Anything good? No, worse. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Like you know, when we're getting back to the basics of human beings like residing with other human beings, it's simple. The antidote is simple. It's love and it's kindness and it's compassion and patience and understanding and forgiveness. Until we get on that plane right there, it's going to be what's happening: fires and floods and destruction and just mayhem. That's no life I want to live. I don't want that life for my children or my grandchildren. Prayerfully, I get to experience that one day. I don't want it for my friends or my family or those of you out there that are watching this or anybody. I don't want it for anybody, any culture, any country, anybody that is a human being living on this planet. And it's horrible. And the only way for us to get back is for us to have the unified way of thinking. And that is this right here, the self-conscious thinking of what you put out cannot just destroy you and those around you, your friends, your loved ones. It destroys our world. Look at what's happening. Putting out all that negative energy. Of course, all this negative stuff's going to happen. Look at what we've done for the last 4 years. Let's get back to those basic humanity things of being kind and being loving. And even if you're with someone who starts going down that old pattern because maybe they've now built a bad habit of being negative, maybe you be that light in their darkness and say, look, I hear you. We've gone down this road so many times, but I'm trying to make a new change and I'm trying to put better vibrations off so I can have a better life. So how about we table that and then just keep tabling those conversations until eventually that person is not even going to bring it up around you because they know it's not going to be heard because you're shutting it down in a kind way, in a polite way, and just saying you have no space for that. Then you don't have to worry about putting your energy blocker up because now you're just eliminating it from your orbit, which is obviously the most effective way. But maybe you're in a social setting and you can't speak freely like that. Make sure you know about that energy blocker, throwing that thing up because it is very powerful and very helpful. But yes, it's definitely, I feel like if we just start one little person, all of you people that are watching this stream, anybody that you feel like needs to hear this message right now, share this stream with them, subscribe so you know when I'm going live. Let them hear the message, the gospel of the word of power of positive thinking, and let it be. Just let it be. Let it be. Oh, let it be. You got to let them hear the word. So you make that change. And then guess what? Now you just created this whole new energy space. Now, in that negative arena that you had built around you in your bubble, now you're starting to change the energy, the dynamics. And then a little bit day by day, now you're clearing out all your space and replacing it with something good and positive. And those vibrations will make you feel like you're floating through your day. They're so positive, so happy. You'll feel such gratitude and a weight lifted off of your shoulder. And especially you start seeing those around you that you care about. Maybe you have a spouse, maybe you got a friend, maybe you got your children. They're going to start to see your change and they're going to start to make a change. And then you start seeing the power of that positivity in what the movement is and what you're doing. How crazy beautiful is that? That's where we want to get, because then you're inspiring that next person and then it's that butterfly effect, right? Before we know it, we've got a whole culture of people that are now went from just demise and sadness and anger and frustration and angst and anxiety. And now we got a whole bunch of people talking about, you know what, I really do. I'm grateful for this. I really do love this about this. I can't wait until this happens in my life. I can't wait. This is going to be so exciting. Don't let anyone steal your shine. You got to keep that light lit, because no one will protect that light but you. There are too many people out there that are full of uh, jealousy and greed, and they don't want to see anyone succeed if they're not succeeding. You just have to push through that nonsense, put those blockers up, and let them see your shine above all else. And eventually they will come around, because they'll see that it's not hurting you, it's only hurting them. And then they lose their power. So don't let go of your power, your light. You cannot let anyone taint you. That is not the life you want to lead. I can promise you that. We're going to finish this up and then with this guy and his message, and then I'll close it out.
You can destroy yourself by the things that you think that are wrong, the things that you hear that are wrong, the things that you say that are wrong, the things that you taste and touch, and that they are the things that cause things to occur from within you that will destroy you. And so those are the things that we are told.
So that is the moral of the story right there, you guys. Beautiful, right? I really am so grateful to be able to have a platform to share the message of my people and to keep their tradition alive, keep the beautiful teachings of the Cherokee Indian people and the indigenous people all around the world. There's so many tribes, and there is a very solid underlying platform that all of them seem to go by, and that is the message of positivity, acceptance, love, joy, and cleansing. Just be putting a good spirit out there and not faltering or wavering on that. That is who you are. That is your blood, our ancestry. That is the message that you want to be in the world. You don't want to be the person that nobody wants around, because all they do is talk about stuff that just brings you down and it's exhausting. You guys, be that positive change you want to be in the world, because you can. Because it literally, you don't need a penny for it. It's free and you can do it right now. Just starting today, blow someone's mind at how positive you're going to be, even in the worst scenario or situation, even in a time where most people around you might think, oh man, this is going to be bad. And watch the things that open up for you. People wanting to communicate with you more, things falling in place a lot easier, life feeling easier, all for something that you did for free. that's going to make you feel good in the end. Nobody wants to walk around feeling angst and anxious and like angry and mad and sad and all the bad feelings. Put those, just envision it in your mind. Do that with me right now. You're just closing your eyes and you're envisioning all of those things, all the whatever color you want to make it. It's black, it's dark green, it's like I see like muddy, mucky kind of colors, rust colors. And you're going to take a sponge in your mind. You're putting some soap on it, some hot water, maybe a little vinegar to really get a deep clean. And you're wiping it all out of your system because it doesn't belong there. And all you see now is purity and white and the freshness of maybe like a babbling brook or a beautiful waterfall or a fresh spring. Those are the things, beautiful glaciers that haven't even melted yet, because that's your future of brightness and beautifulness. You have to envision all of those things leaving your body and then letting the light in and approaching that in a new light. Even catching yourself when you're about to go down that bad avenue, just being like, nope, not going to do that. That's not me anymore. There's no space for that in there. It's not even going to exist. Just give it a go. You never know until you give it a go. Thank you guys for joining me today on Behind the Layers. This was a really great podcast. Tomorrow is going to be back to some fun fitness facts Friday. But then we are moving in next week. We are going to talk more about other cultures around the world, what they eat, what they do to stay healthy and lively. So I'm really excited to jump on that train. I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Remember, you're going to try to participate in your own new future of being positive, no matter what. You're going to put it out there. Negative words can't leave your mouth because you are going to fill your space with the same old, same old. Making big changes right here today, you guys. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Both, thank you so much. Thank you to all of you guys that are joining me, that are watching. You don't have to participate in conversation, but I do see that you're out there, and I appreciate you being here. Make sure you do go hit that subscribe button. And if you love the channel and you want to support it, there is a wrong side. It's mirrored. There is a QR code to support the channel up there. If you are on X, I have a tip jar on my main page. There's a little tip jar if you guys want to support, show the love, support the stream. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you just coming and maybe gaining some knowledge for this to help your life and help you in your future to living your best life from the inside out. Until I see you tomorrow. Bye. See you then. Lots of love. Sending the love. Sending the love.